You are watching One Book, One Review with Wiebke.
Hey there, let's talk about The House of Leaves by Mark Z. Danielewski. This is a monstrously big book. It's awesome, but it's rather complicated, so we'll do the review a little bit differently than usual. At the center of the book is the Navidson Record, the documentary of a small family moving into their house and trying to settle down and discovering that their house is sort of like the TARDIS, meaning it's bigger on the inside than on the outside, and it's not safe in all the places. But the Navidson Record is not all the book there is. House of Leaves deals more with the analysis of the film The Navidson Record by Zampano. So we're not only told the happenings in the documentary, The Navidson Record, but also a deep analysis of the film, of the imagery, of the motives, of the characters, and everything. So this book is riddled with footnotes. But that's still not the whole story of the book, because Zampano is dead. That's how the whole book starts, that he's dead. And he left a bunch of loose papers lying around, which is the analysis of the Navidson Record. And it's not really organized and everything. So we have another narrator, Johnny Truant, who found all the papers with the dead guy, and he took them home and he sorts them and he tries to organize them, and he tells us the story of the analysis and also his story. And this is really interesting. So what we mainly have is we have three stories in one. We have the story of the Navidson Record, we have the story of the analysis, like the deeper meanings of things that are going on, and we have Johnny Truant's story and how the book influences him. And that's where it gets really interesting. Because Johnny Truant has an introduction to the book, and there he already tells us that the film, The Navidson Record, does not exist. That a lot of the quotes and the references that Zampano uses don't exist. And we go into this whole book knowing that it's basically fictional. But also we see Johnny Truant and his character dissolving. He's just crumbling and losing touch with reality, and his life gets turned around and he gets scared and paranoid and all these things. And it's just all connected to the book, and somewhere in the book you find out it's really influencing everything. Everything is connected in the story, in the characters, in the happenings. It's just circling, even with you. We also have the editors of the book, who frequently comment and put on extra footnotes there. And it's all a confusing bit, but it's awesomely well done. When looking at the characters, we have, of course, all the people in the Navidson Record, but we don't really need to talk about them because they are deeply analyzed in the work by Zampano. So they are not the most interesting characters. They are interesting in themselves, but talking about them is rather boring because they've been analyzed to death. But who's interesting more as a character is Johnny Truant, because we get a lot about his past. We find out that his mother had psychological problems, that he had a lot of problems growing up, that he's sort of smart. The things he says, he's really smart, the things he understands. But sometimes he's just not a wise kid. He's not school wise. He's not successful. He works at a tattoo shop and he hangs out with his friend Lude a lot, and they do a lot of drugs and they do a lot of stupid things, and there's a lot of sex in this book as well when we talk of his story. And a lot of the things that are going on are just confusing, but you're just drawn into it because you want to know more about this character, and he's really fascinating. Looking at the story, it is sometimes confusing because there are really intense parts in the analysis and in Johnny Truant's story, and there are also some dragging parts in the analysis. So reading this book really has you on the edge of your seat and falling asleep because it's too detailed. But the things that are happening, sometimes it's too scary. If you follow me on Goodreads, you might have heard me say that it's not bedtime reading. The things that are happening in the house, they are scary. There's a lot going on, which is really, it just, no, not good. And the best part in this book is the writing. The writing reflects what is happening in the story. So the best chapter to explain this is probably chapter 9, in which Zampano talks about a labyrinth, and labyrinth in general, and the labyrinth in the house, and other labyrinth, draws parallels to other works of fiction and other works in documentary and film and architecture and all these things. And you can find all this in footnotes. But this whole chapter is like a labyrinth. You start off somewhere, then you have a footnote which continues on the next pages but you haven't read all the other things. And then you're thrown into the appendix for a couple of pages and then back to the normal story. And if you follow the footnotes and actually follow them through instead of ignoring them, you read the book you get lost because you're like in a labyrinth and you get thrown forward, backwards. You have to turn the book around because there is some writing upside down, others is just going back, others is going forward. It's amazing. And it's not only chapter 9 this happens. There are other chapters where there's just a word maybe on the page, but the tension that is created there is just parallel to the tension the characters in the book feel at that moment. And it just is creepy. So what do I think about The House of Leaves? Well, I think it's a really amazing book. I can appreciate, I really, wow. Mark Danielewski, he did an awesome job there. All the things that are implied that are drawn from reality and connected to reality and going in circles and infecting the reader, and the connection between the characters in the book and the book itself. It's just mind-blowing. This whole book is mind-blowing. When it comes to reading it though, like I said before, there are some parts that can seem just boring because you have this over-analysis of a film that doesn't even exist, and it's rather scary, this film. But still, this is a lot of footnotes, a lot of things missing. It can be frustrating. Sometimes there are just pages missing. Yeah, so this book really had me on the edge of the seat, and it bored me to death, and it just amazed me. It's a collection of feels. I cannot say it any other way. It's a collection of feels, and there is no answer to it, and I'm just wow. Everyone who started the book and gave up because they thought it's too much analysis, continue reading. Just continue. Dude, congratulations, you made it to the end of the video. So let me know, are you interested in this book? Have you picked up the book? Have you read it? Just tell me what you think. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.